Late at night, Abigail performs ballet in an empty theater, unaware that a group of bandits is setting a dangerous plan into motion. A hacker disables the security cameras at her mansion, while a gunman positions himself on the roof. When Abigail leaves the theater, her driver escorts her to the car, not realizing a tracker has been planted on it. As soon as the vehicle moves, the criminals follow. The hacker unlocks the doors remotely, allowing 3 intruders to slip into Abigail's bedroom and hide. One of the women in the crew voices discomfort about targeting a child, but the others brush off her concerns. When Abigail gets home and falls asleep, the kidnappers strike. One man tries to grab her, but she stabs his hand with a pencil. Another clamps a hand over her mouth while the first attempts to hit her, yet the woman stops him, making sure the child isn't harmed. Abigail is then drugged and knocked unconscious. While half the group stands guard outside, they spot a car approaching. The trio quickly stuffs Abigail into a sack and climbs out the window. They cross the garden, meet the lookout, and flee just as the alarms blare. Thankfully for them, the last 2 criminals show up in time and they all escape. Now imagine being trapped in a mansion with something immortal. That's the setup for Abigail, a horror thriller that kept me hooked far more than I expected. If you enjoy gripping recaps like this, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and leave a like. On the road, the kidnappers check Abigail's pulse, blindfold her, and try to avoid suspicion. When traffic gets heavy, the hacker orders the driver to switch routes, so he quickly swerves behind a large truck to stay hidden. Eventually, they reach an isolated mansion where they meet Lambert, the mastermind. Abigail is tied to a bed, and Lambert reminds the group of the rules. No real names, no personal backstories, and complete cooperation. Their task is to watch the girl for 24 hours until her wealthy father pays $50 million. Lambert refuses to reveal who the father is, confiscates their phones to prevent tracking, and gives each of them code names before leaving. Once alone, the criminals raid the house for alcohol. Joey hoards sweets, teasing Dean when he tries to share. Soon, they bet on her ability to read people. To everyone's surprise, Joey correctly guesses each person's background through their behavior and clothes. Frank was a sharp detective, Peter a bumbling mobster, Sammy a privileged hacker, Rickles a marine sniper, and Dean a psychotic driver. Frank then points out that Joey herself is a recovering addict who substitutes drugs with sugar. Later, Joey checks on Abigail, who cries that her restraints are too tight. Showing compassion, Joey moves the cuffs to the front and removes her blindfold. She assures Abigail they don't want to hurt her, only to get ransom money. Abigail responds by asking her to pinky promise. Joey admits she has a son, and Abigail cryptically warns that her father won't care about her. Before Joey leaves, Abigail apologizes for what's about to happen, leaving Joey unsettled. Concerned, Joey tells Frank that Abigail's father might be violent. Frank dismisses it, but secretly visits the girl. He forces her blindfold back on and points a gun at her, demanding to know who her father is. Terrified, Abigail reveals his name, Christoph Lazar. Frank panics, rushes back to the group, and insists on leaving. The others demand answers, and he explains that Lazar is one of the most powerful and dangerous crime lords alive. Joey and Rickles recognize the name and share his alarm. After a tense discussion, they reluctantly decide to stay, reasoning that the ransom money could help them disappear for good. They agree to lock the house and stay alert. That night, Joey investigates a noise and discovers it's just an open window near a statue of a father and daughter. Rickles approaches, awkwardly flirts, and admits he doesn't trust the others. They agree to watch each other's backs. Meanwhile, Sammy finds a TV room but is startled by Dean playing a prank. He then mocks Peter by drawing on his face before wandering into a corridor filled with old family photos, one of a girl who looks eerily like Abigail. In the kitchen basement, a door creaks open by itself. Dean goes inside, is startled by a rat, and suddenly something unseen drags him away. Sammy hears his screams and rushes downstairs, only to find him sitting eerily at a table. As she approaches, his head falls off. Horrified, she screams and vomits. The rest of the group rushes in. Suspicion briefly falls on Sammy, but they quickly realize she isn't strong enough for such brutality. The scene reminds them of chilling rumors about Lazar's enforcer, Valdez. Years earlier, 3 of Lazar's top men were caught by the FBI. Before they could testify, they were hidden on the top floor of a hotel under heavy guard. By morning, the agents found their mutilated bodies decapitated and gutted, with no possible escape route except a window on the 23rd floor. The criminals rush to check on Abigail, who appears unharmed, but Rickles, shaken, decides to leave. When he opens the front door, they discover another locked gate. Peter tries to force it, but instead triggers a security system that seals all the windows. Realization hits them. They're trapped inside with something they don't understand. Joey starts to suspect they've walked into a trap. When Rickles checks for his weapon, he realizes it's missing. She questions Abigail about whether anyone besides her and Frank had come into the room. Abigail denies it, but adds that Frank threatened her, claimed he worked for her father, and that his his true name was Valdez. Later, Joey shares this with Rickles, and both admit the story doesn't add up. Before they can figure it out, Joey hears a noise. She finds Rickles slumped in an odd position and is horrified when his body collapses onto her. He's been fatally wounded. Shaken, she lays him down and rushes downstairs. Enraged, Joey confronts Frank at gunpoint, accusing him of being Valdez and murdering Rickles. Frank pulls his weapon too, insisting she's being manipulated by Abigail. He orders Peter to take care of the girl. Peter storms into Abigail's room to finish her off, but Joey bursts in, disarms him, and stops the attempt. As Sammy and Frank join in and arguments break out, Abigail slips free from her cuffs. With graceful ballet-like movements, she reveals her terrifying secret. She's a vampire. She lunges at Peter, ready to bite, but Frank shoots her. To everyone's shock, she heals instantly. Joey fires as well, but bullets don't even slow her down. Terrified, the group barricades the door. It dawns on them that Abigail herself is Valdez. Trapped by locked doors and sealed windows, they scramble for a plan. Sammy suggests old vampire legends, garlic, crosses, sunlight, wooden stakes. Frank demands they focus and sends Peter to grab pool cues while Sammy searches the kitchen. Joey, however, hesitates. She'd rather exchange Abigail for her freedom than kill her, fearing Lazar's wrath. Armed with makeshift stakes, they return to Abigail's room, only to find it empty. Music leads them to another chamber where Abigail eerily dances with Dean's corpse. Pretending to be harmless, she mocks them until Sammy attacks. Abigail shrugs off the garlic, overpowers Frank, and tosses Peter aside before tearing the cross from his neck and stabbing him with it, proving holy symbols are useless. She wounds Frank too, leaving the group battered and desperate. Downstairs, Joey tends to their injuries. She remembers the sedative they used earlier and urges them to use the spare syringe. They split up to search, agreeing to alert her when Abigail is found. Sammy explores a grim corridor, only to stumble into a pool filled with rotting bodies. Screaming, she claws her way out. Meanwhile, Abigail stalks Peter. He bolts, slamming a door shut, but she smashes through and chases him with a dancer's grace. Frank accidentally knocks Peter down the stairs, leaving him injured. Abigail turns on Frank, shoving him down and nearly finishing him before Joey tries to inject her. The syringe goes flying behind a locked gate. Sammy grapples with Abigail, but is bitten. As Abigail drags Frank into the air, Peter ambushes her, giving Joey the chance to recover the syringe and inject the sedative. Abigail collapses after hurling venomous threats. They lock her in an elevator. Joey bargains. If Abigail reveals how to escape the mansion, they'll let her go. Abigail laughs and admits she orchestrated everything, with Lambert as her pawn. She knows all their dark pasts, Sammy's schemes against her family's bank, Peter's betrayal of his gang, Frank's corruption as a cop, Joey's drug-riddled mistakes as a surgeon that cost a Lazar man his life. Each of them had crossed Lazar's empire, and Abigail was playing with them before killing them. She offers a deal. Release her and she'll spare 2 lives. Frank scoffs, saying she'll kill them anyway. Annoyed, Abigail lowers her offer. She'll save just one person, the one who frees her. Peter, panicked, almost falls for it, but Joey shoots him before he can act. The others rush to treat Peter's wound, leaving Frank alone on guard. When they're gone, Frank tries bargaining. He asks how to escape, and Abigail tells him to move a book titled "And Then There Were None" in the library, which reveals a hidden passage. Frank thanks her but refuses to set her free. Smirking, Abigail rips open the grate with ease and attacks him. Just then, Joey arrives, smashing boards off a window to let sunlight flood in. The sunlight scorches Abigail's hand, forcing her to retreat into the shadows to heal, while Joey and Frank make their escape. They regroup with the others in the library, standing in the patch of sunlight Joey created. Sammy is relieved to see she isn't affected by the rays, thinking the bite won't turn her. Frank angrily yanks the book, and then there were none, as Abigail had instructed, but nothing happens. She lied. Frustrated, he fumes while Joey tries in vain to break down a wall. Running out of candy, she starts showing signs of withdrawal and admits to Sammy that she left her son behind, hoping the ransom money would let her start fresh. Sammy then suggests another plan. If they can locate the power source, she can disable the locks. The group splits. Sammy goes with Peter, while Joey pairs with Frank. Suddenly, Abigail's haunting music fills the house again. Under its influence, Sammy's transformation completes, and she viciously attacks Peter, biting deep into his neck before killing him. Abigail toys with Sammy, making her dance like a puppet. When Joey and Frank arrive, Sammy hides her face, but suspicion grows. Finally, she reveals her monstrous form, forcing them to flee. The chase leads them back to the library, where Abigail, speaking through Sammy's voice, admits she despises the place because her father turned her there. Joey cleverly reflects sunlight onto Sammy with a plate, causing her to explode. To their shock, a hidden door opens. Though wary of another trap, Joey and Frank decide to take the risk. Inside, they find a control panel and Lambert. He reveals his true nature. Abigail turned him into a vampire 2 years earlier after discovering his betrayal. She forced him into luring her father's enemies to the mansion. Lambert admits Lazar is on his way, and he now wants Abigail and her father dead. He offers to turn Frank if Frank will join him. Frank agrees, and Lambert sinks his teeth into him. Joey regains consciousness just in time to witness Frank's agonizing transformation. Lambert orders Frank to bite Joey, but instead Frank impales him with a stake, reducing him to ash. Abigail arrives and attacks, but Frank overpowers her and begins drinking her blood. While he's distracted, Joey manages to shut down the security systems and recover her phone. She even leaves a heartfelt voicemail for her son, fearing she won't survive. Before she can escape, Frank drags her back to the library and brutally slams her into furniture. Just as he's about to kill her, Abigail intervenes. Weakened, she pleads for Joey's help, promising her freedom if they can defeat Frank together. Frank proves too strong, impaling Joey with a stake and biting her neck before tossing her aside. When she wakes, he tries to force her to attack Abigail. Pretending to obey, Joey suddenly turns on him, giving Abigail the chance to strike. She reminds Frank that vampire powers take time to fully manifest, meaning he can't yet control Joey. Together, Joey and Abigail stab him, and Frank explodes into ash. After the battle, Joey fears she might transform, but Abigail reassures her she won't. Frank's death broke the curse. Keeping her word, Abigail lets Joey leave, asking her to reunite with her son. Just as Joey prepares to go, she is stopped by Christoph Lazar himself. He reveals he has lived under countless names and intends to harm her, but Abigail defends Joey, insisting she saved her life when he was absent. Lazar peers into his daughter's mind, realizing she speaks the truth. Acknowledging Joey's role, he kisses her hand and spares her. Joey runs to the van, relieved to find one last lollipop tucked away. She savors it as she drives into the distance. And that's how Abigail ends, a bloody, suspenseful ride with a surprising father-daughter twist.